please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hi, very good afternoon. You're watching Your Stocks. I'm Ekta Batra. With me is Nigel D'Souza, and it's turning out to be quite a quiet session for the market. So the Nifty is just about consolidating at this point in time. We're absolutely flat, but it's all about the mid-cap index. So the mid-cap index is at the high point of the day. We're doing well. We're steady on that advanced decline ratio parameter as well. So that seems to be really the highlight of today's trading session. Besides that, it is the 2G verdict stocks which deserve mention. So something like DB Realty, Unitech, all of those stocks have managed to spike up post the verdict, which came out at around 10:45 a.m. And since then, the likes of DB Realty have been locked in circuit, and Unitech, which is now up around 12%. Hi, Nigel.
Hey, Ekta. I mean, as we speak, I think the tire stocks are calling for our attention. CEAT, MRF, JK Tires, all of them moving to the high point of the day. Our Ticker team as well is alerting you. So keep an eye out on those stocks. They seem to be moving higher, and they're moving higher on very, very strong volumes. So those stocks should be on your radar as well. We'll focus on them later in the show. First up, running you through all the top stories. Flat day of trade on Dalal Street. The key indices trade with minor cuts. The mid-caps outshine with almost a % gain on the index.
The 7-year wait ends as the Patiala court acquits all accused in the 2G scam case, including A. Raja and Kanimoi. Network 18 learns that the Enforcement Directorate will move the High Court against the verdict. DB Realty and Unitech are stocks which have spiked.
And former Prime Minister Mr. Singh, in fact, welcomes the Patiala court's judgment in the 2G case. Says that the court has put to rest the massive propaganda against the UPA. Kapil Sibal says that there was never any corruption in the 2G spectrum issue, adds that now they stand vindicated.
And we have the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who rebuts the Congress claim of a victory, says the Supreme Court itself had cancelled all the licenses and that corruption was proved by subsequent auctions that yielded much higher revenues.
Okay, all right. Then let's pull up the advanced decline ratio actually, because there were always more stocks that were advancing in comparison to the stocks that were declining. However, I think, that's been narrowing all through the trading session. I remember earlier in the day, it was close to around 1,400 stocks that were advancing. So some come off from the high point. Well, in terms of stocks that we're looking at, Wipro, that stock has moved lower. And I think it's come off the high point of the day. So just keep an eye out on that stock as well. It's taken a bit of a leg down. Well, joining us on the show today to help us out and in fact answer all your queries, we have a fundamental expert, Vijay Chopra, who's joining in, and Rajat Bose, who's joining in to help us out with the technicals. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining in today. Well, let's get straight to our first query that we're getting in. We're incidentally getting it from Mr. Raja, who writes to us from Tamil Nadu, or Miss Raja. She holds close to around 170 shares of Tata Motors at a price of around 450 rupees for the past 2 months. She's a long-term investor, wants to know whether or not to hold or to sell. Vijay, coming across to you, what would your advice be for Ms. Raja?
Well, I think that Tata Motors is well placed for a decent up move. Few reasons for that. One, that they have ramped up their models in India. And we are seeing, new models coming up from Tata Motors for the domestic market. Secondly, JLR is, working in an unstoppable fashion. So they are going from strength to strength quarter after quarter. So I think that if you look at a longer-term perspective, so they have this design strength and the technical strength of JLR. Now, which is going to be implemented in the Indian models. And I'm sure that, in the coming times, Tata is going to work very seriously on the electric car project as well. So a lot of good things are going to happen in the Tata Group. And, with Mr. Chandrasekharan in the helm of affairs, I think that there's a lot of positive energy now in the entire group. And Tata Motors specifically, my personal target with a longer term perspective is 550, and of course there should be a stop loss of 390, which should be kept on the stock. But still, I think that good days are coming for Tata Motors.
Okay, well, no pun intended, but it is B. Raja who in fact gave us that query, and so quite coincidental for today. But nonetheless, let's also get a quick check from Rajat on Tata Motors as well. Rajat, you know, it's a bit of an underperformer as compared to other auto stocks. So what would you recommend, say, from a medium to long-term perspective as well?
See, right from the beginning of calendar year 2017, when Tata Motors came below its 200 exponential moving average, after that it has been a Sisyphean struggle for Tata Motors, that it tries to clear the 200 exponential moving average and move up. It succeeds for a few days and then comes down. That's why my answer to your query would be that let Tata Motors sustain above 430 where the 200 exponential moving average is located, and at least trade 5 to 7 trading sessions above that. Only then we can expect a sustainable uptrend. Other than that, what I would like to tell him is, tell her is that she should hold it with a stop below 370 on the close, because I concur with Vijay that there is a possibility that Tata Motors eventually would embark on an uptrend and scale up to something like 530 to 550. But as of now, there is no sign that Tata Motors is immediately going to move up in an uptrend.
Okay, all right, so that's the view coming in on Tata Motors. We now have Nishant, who calls us from Mumbai with a query, and he has investments in Cummins. Hi, Nishant.
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yeah, I've purchased Cummins since a year ago at around 850. And should I accumulate more, and what are the views on the company? And
Okay, and how long can you hold it for, your current shares, and how much, and your future purchase if in case that comes through?
see if it gives a good amount of return, I can hold for a year more than a year.
Okay, so basically you're a long-term investor. Vijay, what would you recommend to Nishant? He doesn't mind even adding on to his positions for Cummins, and your perspective on, say, a year from now.
Well, I think that Cummins is related to the India consumption story. They are into engines, they're into generators, and they manufacture some auto components as well. So my sense is that this stock has the potential of going beyond 1,000. So you have to be a bit patient. The company is very strong. The management has been very good, and over the years we've seen that this company has gone from strength to strength. The balance sheet looks good, and there are no major worries as far as the debt piece is concerned. So Nishant, I would recommend that it's better you stick around, stay with the stock, and even if in a correction you get the stock at lower levels, I think it is good enough to be averaged also. So 1,000 plus is my target for Cummins.
Okay, all right, that's the call there. Vijay is having a target of around 1,000 rupees on Cummins. Before we slip in a short break, Ramco Cements. We were discussing the stock yesterday. Suddenly that stock moved up close to around 80 to around 90 rupees. Now in the last few minutes, there is some selling from the high point of the day. Apparently, there was no real big news as well yesterday. We had, in fact, a brokerage Deutsche Bank note that came out earlier today, and they had downgraded the stock as well. It's been a big outperformer in the recent past, but now we have seen some profit bookings. So it appears that yesterday it was just some aggressive buying that took that stock higher. No real change in terms of fundamental news, though we are aware that, in fact, in Andhra Pradesh, over there, in fact, demand is looking very strong. In Tamil Nadu, yes, there are some sand mining issues, but that as well is likely to get ironed out. So let's get straight to our next caller. I think we have Mr. Banerjee, who calls us from Mumbai, and he has a query, obviously. Hi, Mr. Banerjee.
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. How can we help you, sir?
Yeah, gentlemen, in fact, I'm holding approximately 300 quantities of lupin. My average pricing is approximately 1,250.
Oops.
And the almost same quantity of Aurobindo Pharma and Biocon also. Biocon is a bit less. It's approximately 150 units. Now, my point is that what is the prospect of lupin and Aurobindo? Is it should I hold it further, or should I go for some more averaging, or what do you suggest? Or should I just liquidate this stuff immediately?
Your Aurobindo Pharma buy price, sir, is at what?
Aurobindo Pharma, my average buy price is approximately 700 rupees.
700 rupees, so a bit of a loss there, and even on lupin you're making a bit of a loss.
Yeah, huge loss on lupin.
Okay, but you have a longer time horizon, Mr. Banerjee?
Yeah, my prospect is approximately, say, 2 to 3 years. Long-time investment, yeah.
Okay, 2 to 3 years. Ekta, you want to answer that one? No. Right. Let's go across to our in-house experts. Ekta, you want to give us first the points that we should look at going ahead for both these two stocks? Lupin, I remember the stock at 1,700, 1,600 rupees, and then it came off from there. Auto Pharma, well, it had a good run to around that 800, 850, but it's come off from there. You could give us the triggers and then we could go across to our experts.
Well, for Lupin, obviously the trigger would be, you know, what happens with the warning letter in 2018 and the resolution of that for their Goa facility as well as one of their Pithampur units. So I think that would be top of mind because that's probably going to slow down approvals. That's going to impact margins because remediation costs will be higher. And any which way you're working with a very dynamic, changing environment in the US when it comes to the generics market. So that again puts pressure on the likes of Lupin as well as Aurobindo, simply because Aurobindo gets majority of its sales from the US. So not much from the likes of India, which is expected to be outgrowing other markets at this point. So that seems to be a little bit of a concern for the likes of Aurobindo and Lupin. But Vijay, would you like to answer this particular question?
Well, overall, the performance has been sketchy for the pharma players. But again, we cannot detach the pharma story with the consumption story. I always call it a consumption story because, you know, people get ill and, you know, take medicines. There's only one fear factor which I have in my mind, that if at all Government of India starts the generics, they implement the generics law. So if that happens, these companies are going to lose big time because they have brands which are worth 500 crores, 400 crores, large brands they have, and, you know, it would be a definite hit. But as of now, seemingly the way Wockhardt, the way Lupin, the way Auto Pharma have been reacting in the last couple of days or maybe 1 week, I think that, you know, there is a spark, and we should hold on to these stocks, and probably they can move very fast because the fall has been tremendous in the last 2 years. So we saw that in Dr. Reddy's as well. So definitely I would recommend a hold on these stocks, although the fears and the black clouds are still lurking, and there is a possibility or a probability that USFDA tomorrow comes and, you know, comes up with some other observation. So that risk definitely is there, but again, I would not recommend a sell at these levels. So hold on to it, and once you get your rates, better to get out and get into some other infra story or you know, anything which has less probability of outside attacks.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Vijay. Well, let's do one thing, slip into a short break, come back, continue our focus on the markets.
A look at a couple of these broader market stocks run. Manappuram Finance is up around 11%. It's at the high point of the day as we speak, so good going for that one. It's been quite an outperformer this year with a gain of, I think, around 75%. And following suit is something like Wockhardt, which is doing very well today. So that stock is up around 10%. It's given returns of around 21% this month itself. So don't know what's going on with that one, but it's really catching your attention in terms of volumes. And even something like a Vascon Engineering, for example, is up around 14%. So this just gives you a sense in terms of the different type of stocks which are actually even gaining in the broader markets. Reliance Communication is off the day's high, but it's been a great week for Reliance Communications. Just look at it week to date, that stock has picked up 54% in terms of its gains this week. So huge outperformance which is coming on that stock. I remember seeing it at the start of the week at around, I think, 12 odd rupees, and now it's at around 18. So there's definitely some lot of interest which is coming in on that counter at this point. But we have now Sachin, who calls in from Solapur with a question. He has investments in Saskin Communication Technologies. Hi, Sachin.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Good evening. Yeah, good afternoon.
Afternoon. Your question is on Saskin?
Saskin. I hold this Saskin 700 stocks roughly from 4-5 years, and I'm a long-term investor. Maybe get a investment for horizon for next 3 to 5 years.
So your buy price was 180 on Saskin?
Roughly average price. I bought in a lot of 50s. I initially bought 250 4-5 years back, and then last 2 years back I added another 550 shares of around with a buy price of 225.
So that's
initial price was 108 rupees, and then later on 550 I added with a price of 225.
So that's turned out to be a fabulous investment for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's one of the portfolio of like small IT. I have a mid-cap IT as well, and large-cap IT.
All right. Sachin, we just have to cut across to Manoj Sinha. So let's just do that.
दोषपूर्ण थी, भ्रष्टाचार युक्त थी। आज ट्रायल कोर्ट ने जो फैसला दिया है, ये इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसीज का काम है कि उसको वो देखें और आगे क्या करना है उस पर विचार करें। जब से सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने 2012 में फैसला दिया, उसके बाद जो ऑक्शन हुए हैं, अगर उसमें प्राप्त धनराशि सरकार की देखेंगे तो मुझे लगता है कि तथ्य स्पष्ट हो जाएंगे कि ऑक्शन के बाद सरकार को मिलने वाली धनराशि पहले की तुलना में बहुत ज़्यादा थे। $800 और 1800 मेगा हर्ट्ज बैंड में जो यूपीए के टाइम में 2012 में नीलामी हुई, उसमें 9,407 करोड़ रुपए मिले। 2013 में 3,539 करोड़ प्राप्त हुए। 2014 फरवरी में जो ऑक्शन हुआ, उसमें 900-1800 मेगाहर्ट्ज बैंड के ऑक्शन थे और 61,162 करोड़ रुपए प्राप्त हुए। जब एनडीए रेजिम आई तो मार्च 15 में 800, 900, 2100 मेगाहर्ट्ज बैंड के ऑक्शन हुए और कुल 1,09,874 करोड़ रुपए सरकार को प्राप्त हुए। 1,09,874 crores. Next auction was conducted in October 2016, wherein 965 megahertz spectrum was sold. Spectrum in 700, 800, 900, 1800, 2300 and 2500 megahertz band were put to auction. Total amount received by the government 65,789 crores. और ये 16 के ऑक्शन में 2-3 तथ्य उभर करके आए कि spectrum scarcity has become thing of past. No service provider is complaining for lack of spectrum. The process is completely transparent in allocation of spectrum and there is no complaint. पहले 2008 के ऑक्शन को लेकर के सीवीसी ने स्वयं जांच शुरू की थी और नीति को दोषपूर्ण माना था। 15-16 के ऑक्शन को लेकर के सीवीसी ने जो बात कही है, मुझे लगता है वो ध्यान देने योग्य है। सीवीसी has applauded Department for Transparency and has given an award in 2017 for transparency. दूसरी चीज जो उसमें मुख्य बात मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि ऑक्शन के बाद 2G स्पेक्ट्रम के लिए जो सरकार को धनराशि प्राप्त हुई, वो ऑक्शन के पूर्व से मोटे तौर पर 10% से अधिक थी। And before auction, what amount government received, in comparison to that, after auction, government got approximately more than 10% of the total amount. स्पष्ट रूप से सरकार को रेवेन्यू का लॉस हुआ है और जो नीति 2001 में फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट सर्व की बनी थी, मुझे लगता है कि 2008 में उस नीति को भी बदला गया। 2001 की प्राइस पर 2008 में स्पेक्ट्रम दिए गए और वो फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट सर्व की जगह फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट पे बनाई गई, जो आर्बिट्रेरी थी और भ्रष्टाचार पूर्ण थी। थैंक यू
सर यूपीए के टाइम का सर दोबारा एक बार फिगर आप
अब वो दे देंगे। ये फिगर हमने बताया एक को 10 हमको पार्लियामेंट
आप हायर कोर्ट में जाएगी सर सरकार?
मैंने बता दिया कि ये इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी को तय करना है और इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी तय करेगी।
तो ये 122 टेलीकॉम लाइसेंसेस जो रद्द किए गए थे, सर 122 टेलीकॉम लाइसेंसेस जो रद्द किए गए थे, अब सरकार क्या उसके बारे में सोचेगी आगे?
इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी के अगले कदम के बाद सरकार विचार करेगी।
इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी पे भी कोर्ट ने बोला है कि द जज हैज सेड दैट आई वाज वेटिंग फॉर 7 years 10 to 5 every day but not a single piece of evidence was produced in front of us. Any comment on that?
ये उनको तय करना है कि एविडेंस वो कैसे प्रोड्यूस करेंगे।
सर मेरा एक सवाल है, सरकार का स्टैंड अभी भी यही है कि किसी भी तरह का कोई घोटाला नहीं हुआ, 2G स्कैम हुआ था या नहीं हुआ?
सरकार किसी कोर्ट के फैसले पर कोई बयान नहीं देना चाहती है, लेकिन जिस बात को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने प्रामाणिक रूप से कह दिया है कि पूरा प्रोसेस जो है वो आर्बिट्रेरी था, पावर कॉरिडोर से फैसले हो रहे, तो मुझे लगता है कि उसके बारे में अब किसी को राय देने की जरूरत नहीं। देश की सर्वोच्च अदालत ने इस विषय में पहले ही अपनी राय दे दी है कि वो नीति दोषपूर्ण थी, भ्रष्टाचार युक्त थी। थैंक यू।
Okay, so that is the telecom minister Manoj Sinha saying that investigative agencies will look at the best course of action forward, but that's